Better Together podcast.
Welcome to the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce. We're recording today from the Dashmore Studio and Conference Room, a studio sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab. The Better Together podcast highlights local businesses each week as the Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce continues to promote an amazing business community. I'm Tom Gavin with Fat Cat Homemade Ice Cream, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brad Marshall from Greater Culture CrossFit here in Fuquay.
Thanks so much, Tom.
Man, it's been a great week. I love this week so far. Yeah, it has.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Summer is upon us. And in the world of coaching, something I'm very passionate about, I'm excited because we've got some fantastic guests on our podcast for today. Peter Gourri, Mary O'Brien from the Peter Gourri Coaching and Consulting and O'Brien Group. So thanks so much for being a guest on the podcast today.
Happy to be here.
It's lovely to be here.
I'm excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about how you support local businesses and how you help people elevate to the levels that they're trying to achieve. And so tell us a little bit about your practice.
Well, thank you very much. And it's really a pleasure to be here. So O'Brien Group was really born out of a deep belief that, better leaders create better organizations, and better organizations create better communities, better lives, happier human beings. After many, many years in healthcare leadership, which is predominantly my background, and about, 40 trips around the sun, I've worked in healthcare leadership, consulting, executive consulting, but I saw the same pattern again and again and again, which really is that there's such a heavy focus on strategy and structure and operations. And many, many times, and most of the time, and I'm sure Peter will agree, that there's less of a focus on the people side of things, that we underestimate the human side of performance. So leaders carry a lot of pressure, a lot of complexity, a lot of conflict, you name it, all the responsibility, they've got it. Yet they really just don't have that trusted partner and that trusted space to be quiet, to think, and to grow and have better clarity around what it is that the world is telling them to do, right? So I started O'Brien Group to help leaders figure out how to do that deeper work. We believe that organizations cannot grow beyond the internal capacity of the people who lead those organizations. And we want our leaders to be self-aware, to be disciplined, to be compassionate, and to be responsible and accountable in what they do. At the end, we get that secret sauce right. We have better culture, we have better execution, we have better performance, and guess what? We have happy people enjoying work. What do you think? How'd I do?
Yeah, no, that was excellent way of describing it. And I mean, so for my part, I've been involved in leadership, training and development my entire life. I was in the JROTC, the equivalent, since I was 13 years old. And I was also in the law. I was a commercial litigator. And like Mary, I mean, this is the interesting thing about Mary and I. We both had very strong careers before we came to this and set up our own businesses. And we both saw the same thing of dysfunctionality in the workplace when it didn't need to be, and also dysfunctionality in business. And so I moved to the United States in January of 16. I was in-house counsel and a COO up in Manhattan. And after 2 years, I just found myself thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. Dysfunctional business and dysfunctional people. And that's when I decided that I would, create Peter Gourri Coaching Consulting. And it's a lot of fun.
It's a ton of fun.
That's the thing about it. I mean, that's what people don't get about our work is it's really cool seeing people succeeding and enjoying themselves. It's really cool when you're coaching people and you suddenly see the light bulb switch on and, and they break into a smile. And rather than it being miserable, the workplace does not need to be an unhappy place, as Mary said. And also it's about creating an effective, efficient, productive environment, which leads to success in whatever it is, whether it's profit or in case of non-profits, succeeding. So does that cover it?
It does.
Yes.
Yeah. I love the perspective too of the experiences, which highlights a little bit of the why to this line of work. If you saw and witnessed what leadership looked like in dysfunctional organizations and maybe some of the places you might be able to help. So can you speak to that transition of going from healthcare employee and leader, working in law to now, hey, I want to coach people in those leadership positions? What was that transition like?
Let me jump off.
Go on.
Well, so The early challenge, as you said, is moving away from doing a lot of really good work inside of other big organizations to building business around that work. So healthcare consultancy is where I jumped off, right? And so there's a really big difference between being good at your craft and then building the systems, the processes, the relationships, and the messages that are required to have a business model that allows you to sort of really reach, be successful, and hit the right people. I think the other big challenge that you and I have talked about a lot is the fact that you have to teach people that coaching and advisory work is not a punishment and it's not remedial,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's not only for folks who are struggling, it's often the strongest leaders that reach out to us because they see that their mission of personal growth and self-awareness is part of that secret sauce that allows them to be really successful in their endeavors as organizational leaders. So you gotta look here first and make you and your growth the asset and not the expense on your company's balance sheet.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because we've both had previous careers, we've got these really solid foundations. And the two of us actually went through coaching programs, and we did different ones. Mine was ICF, yours was it UNC?
It's UNC and then some doctorals.
Yeah, and it's like tomato type thing. And the point is that gave us um, the skill set, I guess,
Yeah.
in terms of the actual kind of coaching consulting type thing. But you can't replace that solid foundation on which you're basing it. And I think, in terms of challenges, I think my biggest challenge was not needing to fill the void in a room and just waiting, giving the client the opportunity to speak. And coaching is all about people finding the answer. I've been helping people for decades find the answer. I'm not going to stay quiet, but I also have to remember that there's occasions when you should just keep your mouth shut and let the client talk. So
That's right. It's the art of listening well.
yeah.
Right.
Yes, I love that. And I love the highlighting the journey of having a foundation so you can speak the language, you've got some buy-in there. But then the coaching aspect is a little bit different than just being the one who's like, hey, here's what you need to do.
Yep.
Let them speak, let them figure it out, and then guide them along the way. And it's not something that's just we give people coaching because they're not performing. Elite performers still want to get better. They're still getting a lot of coaching to continue to progress. And so I imagine then there are probably some unique aspects to your roles and the things that you get a chance to do. Could you share some of those unique aspects around your businesses? Go for it.
I think in terms of the unique aspects is that I can see things coming from like 20 stages ahead. Okay, so that's something. Even when I was a lawyer, I was like that. When I was advising people as a litigation lawyer, I would say to them, right, this is the legal position, but you don't want to do that. You want to do this. Because actually the end goal is to, create that success, to create resolution in the case of where there's things going wrong. So I've had clients, for instance, where they found themselves in a difficult position of their company was in a very dire, situation. And I can remember one client, in fact, a couple of years ago saying, okay, this is what we're going to do this was in like early in the year. By the summer, we're going to know whether or not you need to put the business into Chapter 11 or to dissolve it. But before that, we're going to try and basically rescue the business, sell it, buy another business to bolt on to make it work. And in the case of that particular company, we did everything we could, but it was too far gone. And that was just, economic climate, et cetera, et cetera. And the point is that it's about helping people finding the solutions. It doesn't have to be a win-win. Okay, we create win-wins, but win-wins look differently depending on the circumstances. I'm pleased to say that 90% of the work I do is always about success. It's always about being joyful, et cetera, et cetera. But sometimes you also have to face the reality of it. And I think both of our career backgrounds, has really solidified that. Frankly, Mary's more than mine in terms of like having to say to people that, the difficult areas and the difficult decisions and things like that. And yeah, I mean, it's certainly been an interesting experience. And I mean, I've had clients where I've worked with them and I've said, okay, look, we may as well talk about the elephant in the room. There's a really good chance you're going to get fired. And they've been like, what do you mean? And I said, well, what's going on here is they're laying the foundations to fire you because I can see that. And the reason why isn't because of my legal background, actually. It's because Mary and I, we come from here and we're looking down. We're in an elevated position where we're looking down and we can see the overview of what's happening. Sometimes when you're in the space, and frankly, as individuals, we've been there too, right? You've got tunnel vision, you can't see it. Yeah, and you need somebody else just to kind of bring that out and let you see it for yourself.
I think it's a powerful trait, that unique characteristics of being able to see things that maybe others can't, or bring it to their attention, allowing them to do that.
I truly believe that's what is unique about the work that we get to do,
Mhm.
is that our work leads with the head and the heart. It is
Yeah.
compassionate, caring, and honest work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes that honest feedback is, maybe we need to make a change, but the best gift in the world is for the person you're working with to discover their need for change, or whatever it is
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
When I founded O'Brien Group, we were in very early days of COVID. And if you guys can think about your life back then, we were so disrupted. It felt so painful. It was constant, never ending. It was deeply personal for people, your next door neighbors, the organizations you worked in, your peers, our family, and entire communities. We simply just suffered. And that made me realize one thing. When uncertainty is that high, leadership matters more than at any other point. And I'm sure you guys can agree with that. From my background in healthcare, um, I learned that the discipline for continuous improvement was paramount to everything we did every day. You have to do better by patients. You have to do better by your teams, because stakes are just way, way, way too high.
Yeah.
So, in all of that uniqueness, we still get to bring our head and our heart to our game every day. And we simply just meet people where they are. We meet organizations where they are. And we don't separate the person from the role, or the leader from the system. Our job is to get the machine or that flywheel spinning in a nice natural way, or get all the gears functioning, just like a nice, well piece of oiled machines. And when that happens, which we see,
Yeah.
as Peter said, when you see the light bulb go off, it is honestly the greatest jam on earth.
Yeah.
You can't mistake it.
I was just thinking when you were talking about COVID and stuff, because I started my training in 2018. So I sort of started my business in 2019, then COVID hit.
Oh yeah.
And it ravished the business,
Yeah.
because the corporates used it as an excuse to get rid of their budgets, right? So I was still coaching some of my individual clients and and also I was doing pro bono as well. And it was a heck of a baptism of fire.
Sure was.
And just trying to keep people together. And it was challenging, actually. I mean, it was challenging both for the coach as well as for the clients.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's what really made us as coaches. We became, in the case of some people, their lifeline because they couldn't leave the home, etc.
Yeah.
And the coaching industry itself kind of got turned on its ear completely. So
Yeah.
for those of us who were used to jumping on a plane, and being gone Monday through Friday and being on client sites with clients, that ended literally overnight. So
Yeah.
standing up new systems, new processes,
Mhm.
new ways of doing business, yeehaw for Zoom. But, how do you maintain that intimate part, that relationship that you have with the person that you're coaching? How do you understand what you can't see?
Right.
And, if you're in a meeting, I see the rolling eyes. Do you see people leaned in? And so it was a great experience for us, because our industry changed at the same time the industries we were coaching
Right.
changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
The
actually,
world, right?
the
Yeah.
interesting thing was a lot of my work was already on Zoom. And I did have the in-person clients, but that was the strange thing about it, because if anything, I already worked with people in Europe and the UK as well as all over the US. But after that, I started working with people as far away as Singapore and
Oh
Australia.
wow. Yeah.
And it was just crazy. But you're right. One of the skills actually post-COVID and during COVID has been to actually learn more and more how to read the screen,
Yes.
Yeah.
rather than reading the room,
Yeah.
so yeah.
And imagine doing that when people were still wearing masks.
Right. Yeah. No facial expressions. Yeah.
Space. We had to wear masks for every moment that we entered a parking deck until we left.
Oh,
And even in meetings, until 2022-ish, we were still fully masked. And
Yeah.
so what you got were people's eyes and then not a lot of anything else. So the intuition,
Yeah.
the ability to pay really close attention to literally everything became kind of paramount. But I think it also made us stronger.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, it's funny what you say, actually, because obviously I was still in New York then, so you got used to reading people's eyes.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
but it because
no, it was,
we were still wearing masks till about 2022 up there as
Yeah.
well, Subway and
Yeah.
all the rest of it. And yeah, I think also it's almost like it created like a sixth sense type thing where you became more intuitive about people as
I
well.
didn't see dead people though.
Man,
It's true. It was a pretty good learning lesson, I would say.
yeah, that's really cool to like learn how everything evolved because of COVID, not even thinking about that type of stuff from like where I stood at that time, so to see like different industries and stuff like that. So you guys as coaches, you don't offer typical products or services, right? But what type of products and services do you guys offer to like benefit your clients and stuff like that?
I
Or
think pretty shared. I think we kind of like highlighted. So we do executive coaching, consulting, and advisory, and those may all sound like they're the same, but they're kind of slightly different. Whether that's executive leaders, teams of executive leaders, leaders in an organization, facilitating offsites, putting leadership development pathways together for cohorts of folks. Those really are the services that we would offer. It's really hard to
Well, there's no
product.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're not a product, we're
Right.
a service. And
yeah. And I mean, look, the thing is, especially for the two of us as well, it's not like, right, okay, you need number 4.
Right.
It just doesn't
It
work
doesn't
that
work
way.
that
Yeah.
way.
It depends on the individual circumstances. And also, while you're going through the course of an engagement, suddenly everything will just change and you'll be like, oh, hang on a second, can we talk about that for a moment? And you'll start going down a different rabbit hole. But actually, that's the rabbit hole you need to be concentrating on,
Yeah.
not that one.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the work that we do. But also, again, that's what makes it really interesting for us.
Yeah.
But it's about drawing out from the client.
Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes people don't, realize it. I mean, occasionally I'll be working with somebody and say, you should have started with that.
And I find that's most often the case.
Yeah.
We'll get contacted because of job X, and after some level of assessment or discussion, we realize that the problem is job B.
Yeah.
And perspectives are incongruent across the organization, but that's not unusual. We
That's
say
right.
that the problem is a customer experience performance score,
Yeah.
and yet we fail to realize that behind that customer experience is a workforce who have leaders, who have practices and policies and values and missions, which maybe are aligned or not to their strategy. So it's most often the case that there's misalignment. And what's cool about the good coach is that our job isn't to say, I assessed you and now you're going to do this. Our job as good
Yeah.
coaches is to say, we'll be your partner on your journey.
And the other thing about it as well, of course, is everything that's said to us is confidential,
Yeah.
with the usual exceptions about, if you're going to harm yourself or somebody else
Right.
type thing. And again, a lot of people I work with, I don't know about you, are actually say to them, look, just to be clear here, nothing goes back to your employer.
Yeah.
And again, you actually see the release in them
Yeah.
where they suddenly know, oh, I'm actually in a safe place.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was working with somebody a year ago where I had this conversation and I said, listen, this is all confidential. I mean, to put it in perspective, I once lost a major corporate client because the CEO, who will remain nameless as will the company, actually wanted me to give them confidential information.
Oh, wow.
And I refused. And they said, right, we're cancelling your contract then.
Right.
And I said, that's fine.
That's fine.
My professional ethics are far more important.
Yeah.
And the individual I was working with a year ago, after I told them about the confidentiality, they were like, I hate this company and I want to leave. And I said, okay, well, let's work on that then. How about you transitioning out of the company, but you do it with transparency?
Yeah.
And so we developed a strategy and they went to their management and said, listen, I'm not happy. And actually, I quite like to move on and do something, in this space instead. And it made the whole thing easier.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the point about all of this. It's about making life easier, making business more successful, making the processes more successful.
Yeah.
It's just about doing things with people instead of at
Yeah.
people or
Yeah.
to people.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that'll lead into our next one, right? A lot of those things I could imagine make you guys stand out over other competitors or other people in the same line of work, right? So what other things make you guys stand out in that form along, like, from your competitors and stuff? I know you said you guys don't consider each other.
Absolutely.
Please, Mr. Gourri. So I'm glad you framed your question that way, because Peter and I are adamant that we aren't competitors. We are
Sure.
collaborators in an industry that is intended to help people thrive,
Yeah.
right? And so we share a lot of the same beliefs. Our training in the world of coaching is foundational. You know,
Yeah.
what Peter mentioned in terms of confidentiality, if we were to break that clause, you'd lose your ICS certification.
That's right. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I
Right?
would. Yeah.
I would be in violation of the American Psychological Association's code of conduct,
Right.
and I could lose a license, right? So we don't want to do that, nor would we ever do that, because that's not who we are as people, and that's not why we love what we do. But you know, the relationship, as Peter and I both said, that relationship between coach and coachee it has to be a good fit, right? So good collaborators are the first ones who say, I don't think this is a good fit for me. Will you go talk to this person?
Yeah.
And let's see if it's a better fit for you. So that spirit of working together on behalf of a client is really sort of at the heart of what I think, you know, good coaches are. I mean, a good coach has been on the field. We've had the experiences just like you guys. We've played the roles, we've learned from real life experiences. Good coaches also train in the field of coaching, right? And good coaches understand that we would openly refer, you know, on behalf of our clients. And maybe think about, as I was driving over here today, um, North Carolina collegiate sports. And so you guys are younger than I am, but if you remember Jimmy V and Coach K and Dean Smith, while they competed for collegiate basketball, they were very much collaborators, and the three of them were actually very, very good friends. They helped one another in terms of the way their teams functioned internally. Each one of those coaches worked as collaborators with the members of the coaching team. The team members themselves were collaborators. And Coach K, I spent, 20 years at Duke, and I got to see him in action all the time. What he did was he cared, he had compassion, he led, he coached on the field, and he grew himself, right? What more can you ask for? So if you think of that as a good sports analogy, we coach on the field, we roll up our sleeves. There's nothing funner than like getting into it. It's a blast. But you can also see the value of long-standing collaborative relationships and deep friendships, just like these coaches had together. You know?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just thinking in my mind, is she talking about Men in Black or the Rat Pack with Dean Martin? Sorry, I was like, I have no idea who these people are. I need to, but no,
Sorry,
I mean,
phone up.
no, absolutely, absolutely. But no, I mean, that's absolutely right. And that's the reason why we chose to do this together, actually, because we don't consider ourselves to be competitors.
Yeah.
And we do have that foundation, we do have that background and that training. Not that, people who decide just to coach people are no good. It's just that we do have that advantage of, we went through, how long was your training? My initial training was a year of intense training.
A year, and then, it's
And then
6 years to finish my doctorates. So,
it never stops really. You're always training. And
ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, it's ongoing. You're constantly kind of, learning and evolving, etc. I mean, the whole concept of the International Coaching Federation coaching model is evolving, and they're learning that things are no longer the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the point of it. I mean, I trust Mary completely. I've seen the way she works. I know her integrity, and so it's not about the coach, it's about the person.
Yeah.
You
And
have
the goal.
and the goal. Yeah, absolutely. And that leads through to, as well, to, we're under a professional obligation that if we think a person is best served by therapy or another discipline,
Yes.
we're actually under a professional and ethical obligation to actually refer them elsewhere.
Oh.
So yeah, and I do that often.
Yeah.
And often we're working in conjunction with therapy, etc.
Yeah.
And just like everything else in this world, right? Our professional growth, we're preaching professional growth, right? And leadership. So we're responsible for our own professional growth
Yeah.
and leadership. And, if I think about AI in our world today, AI is changing every single thing in this world. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. And so for us, I don't even think of it as a challenge anymore, but one of the gifts of better evidence-based work is to understand the value of how AI can be responsibly and ethically used
Yeah.
within the setting of human-centered coaching. So in the beginning, it was like AI is going to take over coaching. We're like,
No, it's
what?
not. Yeah.
The truth is it can't, because coaching is about nuance and
Yeah.
intention and relationships. But at the same time, there's a place for AI, right? And so we are ethically bound to make sure that we're integrating the world of today into our work in a
Right.
way that serves our clients. So we have to keep learning.
I have a client who uses AI as a therapist. I'm like, please stop doing that.
Yeah, that's very
Like,
that's,
please stop. But
that's not.
and look, I mean, AI is a tool, and as Mary said, it's a great tool. But I mean, frankly, I don't think AI would ever give the feedback that you and I give. So,
That's what you get from that
Unless they can
personal
see something
touch.
behind the mask that we can't.
Right.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's awesome. So, are there any community involvement or special initiatives that both of you guys are involved in that you'd like to talk about and share?
Well, I think we both. I mean, we both do pro bono with with the community, and
Yeah.
I mean, we've both always done it because that's part and parcel of our work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're businesses. We have to provide business services, and we have to get paid. But it doesn't mean that we can't find time to support the community as and when we can. For Mary and I, because our work is so strong, and because we have such an excellent personal relationship, we're actually creating business programs together, collaborative programs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've just dealt with a health issue from an injury, and we're now sort of pushing forward with that. But there's always space to support people.
Yeah.
And I mentioned, I mean, during COVID, did you do the pro bono stuff locally?
Yep, a lot of it.
And in fact, I can remember I actually got a thank you from Jersey City because I was doing a lot of pro bono with people.
That's awesome.
And in fact, at one point, actually, every Monday, I just advertised it on Facebook and places like that. Just come along. My Zoom will be open. This is my Zoom, my Zoom number.
Oh, that's cool.
And people would just come along. And actually, I've got lifelong friends as a result of that. It's kind of a responsibility and a duty, isn't it?
I do. And I think part of what a good coach does is a good coach simply engages.
Yeah.
So you can
That's right.
you can just have a conversation, and before we know it, we're having that coaching conversation.
Yeah.
And that, if it's helpful to somebody in the moment and that's what they needed, that's great. But whether it goes anywhere today or tomorrow or in a month, those are the relationships that stick. So we do some other stuff, and you're being very modest. So on my side, I also, because of my background in healthcare, I'm doing a little bit of expanding work on the side, called compassionate advocacy and navigation, and I'm working with people and families who are kind of living through some of the more challenging parts of life, whether it's been a healthcare crisis, a loss of a loved one. I took care of my dad for the last years of his life, and now moving with helping my mom kind of navigate who she's going to be, selling their house of 46 years, and it's the nuts and bolts, like moving to a new community. I don't even know how to do anything. Help me get a bank account. And so it's just whatever it is. And in my role at Duke, I did a lot of work through care coordination and case management. And so I feel I'm blessed because of that, because I know how to navigate some of this stuff that other people really, really struggle with. And often I'll get called by the kids of somebody else, or my mom is moving up into the area and I live in Ohio, or my mom has Parkinson's. She's moving to a retirement community. So from a giving back perspective, I feel like I have an obligation to share what I know. This guy over here, though, does. Would you like to talk about your Sunday activities?
My Sunday ones. What you mean?
Your
Oh my God. I'm really sorry. Uh, I like to help where I can. So every Saturday night or Sunday morning, I make at least 4 loaves of bread for, the food bank and things. And it's one of those things where I guess I was raised with a culture. I mean, we were both raised with the same Irish background culture where you help your neighbours and you do whatever you can to support however you can, whenever you can. So for me, I do try and help like Mary does, just giving practical advice. In fact, only yesterday I was talking to a veteran and I mean, my veteran service, my military service was training and development. But I spent 25 years in it. And so it means that I understand the psyche, etc. And somebody was struggling. And, look, 80% of my friends have got PTSD. So I just dare to say, hey, just want to give you a call. How you doing? And this individual's having a rough time because they are kind of trying to find focus, etc. And it's like, okay, well, let's just have a chat, shall we? And you just have a conversation. But on the practical level, things like the bread making, things like just, look, and this is true of both of us. Simple acts of kindness, you never know where that's going to go. It's the butterfly effect. And I know certainly for me, actually, it's really humbling because I get like kids that I helped in the JROTC and things 30, 40 years ago, um, as well as the wider circle of people that I've worked with and like come back to me saying, you made a real difference in my life. In fact, I was asked to give away at a wedding last year. I couldn't go, unfortunately, because of the injury, but I was asked if I could give away one of the individuals who I knew when they were a teenager, because their parents have sadly passed. And it's those simple acts of kindness, you never know where it's going to end up. All I ask of people is, you pass it on.
Yeah.
And by doing that, those small actions, you never know the difference you're going to make in somebody's life.
Yeah.
So, sorry, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, I love that we can see the thread of how much you care about owners or small business hat. And imagine owners. So what are some lessons that you might share that you've learned since starting your businesses as more of that entrepreneurial mindset?
Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
I encourage all of my clients and anybody else for that matter to focus on the future. So my standard kind of script is I want you to think about where you want to be in 25 years time, which admittedly in the case of one of my older clients was like, whoa, probably dead. And I was like, yeah, let's not work on that basis. And, so I have a 25-year plan. Okay. And my 25-year plan is to have my home in North Carolina. It's to have a vacation place in Europe somewhere, either Ireland or if my arthritis gets worse, then in Italy or something. And I want to be financially secure, but I also want to be in a position where I can do more pro bono work. I can do more community work and supporting people, whilst, not having to worry about my retirement, etc. And then you work backwards from there. And by doing that, when things do go wrong, and they will go wrong, okay, that's the nature of life. Things go wrong, things happen. You remain focused on your future vision from an emotional place. And it's like you're using an unused muscle. And it's about realizing it's okay. This is just temporary. This is the end goal.
Yeah.
And you can revise your plan. You don't need to stick to it. And, again, just focus on the positive, because the more you focus on the positive, the negative becomes irrelevant. And I mean, I've had some pretty tough times in my life, and I've had still some very uncomfortable situations, both in the law, personal, and with with the reserve. And by recognizing the difference you make, the difference you want to make, both personally and professionally, everything just becomes a little bit easier.
Bravo.
Thank you.
That was very great. So I gave this a thought. I actually wrote a few things down because I think
I'm
I
really
wrote-
impressed, by the way, because I can't do anything from a script. I'm terrible. But
just because I think it's relevant, and because our community is so filled with entrepreneurs
yeah.
and business owners of different ages, I wanted to give this some special thought. So very practically, I would say this: we are humans, right? And we're all affected by the experiences that we've had in our lives. And so that then in turn affects how we show up in the world every
Mm.
single day. So, how do we react to disruption and chaos and crisis, conflict, or even when the day is perfect and it's just smooth sailing, right? It's often shaped by the ways that we've learned how to cope with the world, to adapt to our environment, to protect ourselves many, many times, and how we project ourselves outwardly to the role. So there's really nothing better that I've learned than the privilege of working with somebody who really wants to learn about themselves and identify those triggers that drive like certain behaviors and
Mm.
reactions and discover who they are in ways that just allow them to live with greater authenticity, right? I've also learned that change is constant. I mean, it's never going to end. And it really doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent, right? So when we as leaders know ourselves more truthfully and intentionally, then we're better able to lead through change and uncertainty and disruption. I think the other thing that business ownership has taught me, and you and I just talked about
Yeah.
this on the phone, is that this business ownership has taught me how to have courage, right? So we have to believe in our work. We have to believe in our truth. We have to tell the truth, and we have to remember our value, even when things are tough and not going so well. So personally, I've learned that every leader needs support. We are not on islands all by
Yeah.
ourselves. I mean, I have my own coach. I don't know what I would do without him, right? He has been my coach for 5 years and my mentor. And that is very, very powerful to me because it tells us that none of us grow in isolation. We don't. And then look, this very organic meeting back in February was look, oh, look, there's
Yeah.
Gourri,
Yeah.
and hey, look, there's Mary. And the relationship has just been not only mutually beneficial for us personally, professionally, but how cool is it to make a friend?
Well, I mean, it's been personally beneficial as well. Mary, I've been able to kind of call her and things and ask her stuff, and likewise, and she puts up with my terrible kind of like humor and inappropriateness as well.
I have
And
4 brothers.
yeah, well, quite yes. And and that's the point of it. But actually, it's really interesting. You just reminded me of something. So, from my perspective, as somebody who, frankly, my British career was in the city of London, and then I was in New York. Coming down to North Carolina, one of the things that I really enjoy being down here is the veteran community is so entrepreneurial.
Oh, yeah.
And part of the reason why it's so entrepreneurial is that as coaches, we encourage people to break out of the comfort zone into the place where possibility lives, right? And these guys, they've seen the worst thing that can happen in a lot of cases. And so they are entrepreneurial because they're like, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is I'll close the business, or, I have to try something else, or, hey, I go bankrupt. Who cares? Like, nothing ventured, nothing gains. Give it a go. And I also thank you for reminding me that, also we have our own coach. So that's part of our kind of professional training where we don't just sit on our laurels. We actually do speak to our own coach, and we have our own coaching where we go through the things that are, affecting us, or we think about the things that we want to do for the
Yeah.
future, etc.
Coaching can be very hard.
Oh yeah,
When
extremely.
you're
Yeah.
ready to learn your truth and when you're ready to address the things that are keeping you back
Mhm.
from being everything you can be, you got to be pretty committed to doing that work because it can get really uncomfortable and you have to power through it. That's the goal. Powering through from moving from triggers to living your authentic life
Mhm.
is earth shattering. And so I can say to me that's probably the most important thing. We all are humans and we all have our stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of times our stuff gets in the way.
And we're talking about all the positive stuff today, but Mary and I have both dealt with some really difficult situations with clients.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it gets very, very uncomfortable. And it's the reason why coaches are encouraged to have therapists as well, because sometimes we have to kind of offload that.
Yeah.
But you have to care. Like I
yeah.
said, your head and your heart have to be aligned so that you do what's
Yeah.
right for your clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love the lessons you've learned and how you kind of wove that into some of the insights that you would share with aspiring entrepreneurs of have a future orientation or focus on where you want to go, understand that the relationship you have with yourself and understanding who you are at your best is partnerships that'll help you along that journey. And then a little bit of risk is not a bad thing of putting yourself out there as an entrepreneur to see where you might be able to go. And so I'd be curious to hear from you as you think about your future. Are there any goals or projects that are coming up? I know this partnership or the collaboration has taken shape, but what are some of the things that you're excited about coming up maybe over the next year or so?
Yeah, I really think what's exciting is understanding the landscape here in this community and
Mhm.
partnering with Peter to do perhaps some cohort leadership development,
Cool.
doing little market intel to see what small, entrepreneurs, small, mid-size, and even the larger, like the John Deeres and the Bob Barkers, what are they needing in terms of leadership development? How do they want it delivered? Because it can look a lot of different ways. And so we're pretty excited. We looked at some of the some good space up 401 it's well suited for cohort or group development activities. And so I think we're in this really cool
Yeah.
space right now where we're excited and using some market intel to help us understand what people want and then deliver that to this community because as we've both said, we're very committed to the community. I live here, my kids live here, my grandchildren live here, and this is our place. And so the stronger we are together, the better off that we're going to be.
And as you can tell from my accent, I'm a Fuquay-Varina person. I mean, but the thing is that this is our community, right? We live here, and Fuquay-Varina is like expanding all the time, and not just Fuquay, but all the surrounding areas as well. And it's in our interests as residents to see it grow and see people being successful because they're our neighbours, they're our friends, they're our business associates, and we want them to work. And I mean, I love the buzz that you get inside a room when you've got sort of that entrepreneurial kind of spirit going on. And also people can feed off each other, but also the two of us, we have that personality of like, yin yang or tomatoes or potatoes or whatever, Yeah, sorry. And the worst thing is I now say tomatoes and my family just give me so much grief. Like, it's just awful. But it's actually fun. That's the point about this work. Okay, we do something that's really valuable. We do something that's really important, but it's so rewarding, and it's so rewarding lifting other people and helping them to become successful and happy.
And I just, it would be the coolest thing on earth as, pursuant to the podcast. People actually listened to it and saw one of us out somewhere and said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" That would be the greatest gift on earth because it means that they heard, right? And what do we say? Our job is to get to talk. Let's just come on, let's talk.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's cool. I have, if I had to give some entrepreneurial tips, I think I would have a few. So yeah.
That's awesome. So we've gotten a lot of questions answered about like what you guys do and stuff like that, right? So let's find out what your guys' favorite local spot is.
Oh, you just wrote that down. So, okay. First of all, I would say it's getting hard because so much has happened around here and it's fun. So my husband and I love hanging out with our family. We do that a lot. And so in the last couple of years, we were going to Aviator for pizza, and our smaller grandchildren like to play out on the courtyard with the bricks and, try not to break their necks. And now they go play on the C-54. I love Fat Cats because you have a gluten-free option and a dairy-free option, and my stomach thanks you for that. So Lychee Blues, I go there every Tuesday morning with the women in networking, and Kim and her team there are amazing, and their breakfast casserole is totally not on my diet, but the greatest thing ever. I love, love, love lollipops, and I could spend my entire annual salary there on my kids, on my grandkids. And then the other place I really love is Fuquay Spice and Tea, which has taken over my pantry.
Oh yeah.
And we're a walking community, and it feels like reminded me like old Salem Street, downtown Apex I lived there when my son was younger, but we have a walking town, and you don't get that everywhere. It's like time gone by. And so I think that just to be able to do that and to say, oh, let's just go pop in for some ice cream, let's just go pop in for, a cup of coffee or someplace like that. It's just great. And as long as we can keep that feel, that community feel while we grow, I think that'll be fantastic.
For me, there's only one choice, and that's Fat Cat ice cream. Sorry, Mary.
Oh my God.
It's
Uh,
the choice of ice cream.
it is. Thank you.
No,
I
I
appreciate
mean,
No,
like
I
you, there's
think
so many
Facebook,
places.
your Facebook post, like, I need a lesson on that.
That is Latrice. We are a great team when it comes to that stuff. But yeah.
It
I
is
do like
awesome.
aviation though. It's good
Thank
fun
you.
there.
Aviator.
Yeah.
What is the best business advice that you have received through your career?
Go on.
Know what the world is asking you to do, and remember you're the CEO of your own mind.
That's very good.
That's good.
Yeah. I like
Nice.
that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, mine's actually just breathe.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't send this to you. So I got sent a photograph the other day from one of my lawyer friends from over 20 years ago. And I sent it on to my family members and some of my friends. And they said, that's not you. And I just looked so unhealthy.
Oh, wow.
And I looked like a completely different person.
Mm.
And it's do something that makes you happy and just breathe.
Yeah.
It's just temporary.
Right.
But yeah, I'll send that to you later. Yeah, it's really quite shocking, actually.
Are there any surprising facts about your guys' businesses that you haven't yet been able to explain to us?
Well, I think from a leadership perspective, while our work begins with leadership, it can very quickly touch every other part of an organization and the health and culture and strategy of that organization. I think initially as a young coach, we're like, you're going to go improve X. And somehow magically we would also improve Y. Oh, that was a nice surprise. Now we're a little more mindful about that and we know it, right? But leadership is never isolated from the systems that are around it, right? And so it would be wrong to say that it is the leader's job to make everything right. It's the leader's job to create the conditions that allow culture, strategy, and performance to happen, right? It's getting the flywheel to be inspirational and aspirational enough to allow to make those things happen. And we don't work in a vacuum, right? Think about it. Who doesn't want somebody in your corner who's there just for you, who's focused on your well-being and your success? And so helping people understand that, I guess that's been surprising at times, like helping people understand that this could actually be a really great thing. Early on, I guess in my career, I would say that, but it's surprising that people think they know their why, and so we probably do similar exercises around know your why. Okay, why do you know that why? And why did you say that? And why did you say that? So, those are those tips and tricks for people who are trying to get out there in the world. You got to know your why. You got to be brave, man.
Yeah.
You got to remember that when you need to phone a friend, you need to phone a friend.
Yeah.
Because we don't live in a vacuum, and
So-
none of us succeed by ourselves.
So I misread this question, and my answer was sometimes I'm not wearing pants when I'm on a Zoom call. No, so actually, mine's quite simple. It's the bad news is that you're not unique. The good news is that you're not unique. And we've all been there. That's the point. So we go through so much of life thinking, oh my God, I can't speak to anybody about this. I'm a failure. I'm a disgrace. I'm incompetent. How could I have done this? This is appalling. And then when you actually open up and speak to somebody, it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all been there. And the point is that, when you actually speak to somebody, there's this quote in West Wing where it's about, this guy's walking down the road and he falls into a hole. And first of all, a doctor walks past. He said, "Hey, doc, I'm stuck down this hole and I don't know how to get out." So the doctor writes a script and throws it down. He's like, "Well, that doesn't help," and he just carries on. And then a priest goes past and says, "Hey, father, I've fallen down this hole and I don't know how to get out." So the priest writes a prayer and throws it down. And he's like, "Well, that doesn't help." And then Joe comes past and says, "Hey, Joe, I'm stuck down this hole and I don't know how to get out." So Joe jumps in. And the guy says, "Are you stupid? Now we're both stuck down here." Like, yeah, but I've been down here before and I know how to get out. And that's what we do,
There you go.
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So
I love those insights. And I love
I
the
know.
surprises that people might have working with a coach, of the things that they might be able to unlock,
Yeah.
new insights they have, the way that they can navigate scenarios and situations. And I think that's speaks to the conversation that we've had. And so for folks out there who are interested to get in touch with you, what are some of the best ways that folks can get in touch or connect with you all?
So you can find out more information about O'Brien Group at my website, www.o'briengroup.org. You can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn. So Mary O'Brien on Facebook and LinkedIn. I have some advertisement right here in the office of the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce. And my contact information is well posted everywhere. So whether cell phone, text, or through my business line, just reach out. I think we both offer. We've talked a lot about.
Yeah.
We're here to help. We're here to talk. I do complimentary sessions just to see about fit and what's going on. But I'm out there.
And I mean, we're both obviously a member of the chamber, so our details are on the chamber. And mine's petergourri.com, Gourri. And yeah, I mean, look, again, this is the point as well. If you want to talk to one of us, then we can actually kind of let you know, listen, you should speak to Mary about this.
Yeah.
That's the point. And because we are local people as well, we're here for you. We want to support you. That's the point. And I'm all over the place, LinkedIn and I don't have any marketing materials in here though. I feel like I've
Should beat you to
missed
it.
out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But,
Right.
but this is the thing as well, is sometimes a discovery call is all it needs.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed how many people I speak to, and I'll just say to them, look, I'm happy to work with you, but actually, why don't you try this first?
Yeah.
And we're businesses, we need to make money, but actually our reputation is more important.
Right.
Because you're going to go and tell other people about us.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the things we talked about earlier on is how you build a business.
Yeah.
And depending on the industry that you're in, development can just look really, really different. The majority of our client base has been built out of the relationships we've had with folks. So either through renewal or referral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we keep those relationships for years and years and years. Many of those folks become our friends, right? And so that I think is the secret sauce of good coaching. This is about a relationship, not about a transaction, right? We want to help people transform or be their best, however you want to describe this. This isn't a transaction. I'm going to do that, and you're going to pay me $10.
Yeah.
Yep, that's really important, and I think we both feel fervently about that.
And it's crazy as well. I mean, you have your local referrals and local clients, and then somebody contacts you from Australia or Singapore. At least Singapore's only 12 hours, but Australia, it's like, are you really sure about this? But the point is that, and again, I would have no hesitation. I have no hesitation referring clients to Mary because it's trust and also results, etc. And it is a case where this is a really intimate thing. This is really intimate. You're going to somebody and you're trusting them completely, and you need to be in a position where that person you're dealing with, there's no blocks, there's no holding back, and you can just tell them everything and anything, and you know that you're in a safe place, and that's what the two of us provide.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And I know I certainly learned a lot, and I'm grateful to hear about your experiences and how you're helping people and the foundations that you've built that have led you to businesses now where you get to go help folks be better leaders, be better organizations, and eventually, hopefully, help them be a little bit happier, healthier. And so thanks so much, Peter, Gourri, Mary O'Brien, for joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
It's been wonderful.
And thank you to our listeners. Join us each week on the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce as we highlight a great local business. From the Dashmore Conference Room and Studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab, I'm Tom Gavin.
And I'm Brad.
And we are
Better Together.
We're better together. It's a weekly podcast. We're better together. You should know that there's more in the dash. We're better together. Fuquay Arena, Chamber of Commerce. We're better together. Podcast.